Okay, so from the last set of data, if you can remember correctly, we were looking for eye color, and what we were able to determine is that 24% of the students, or 12, if you can remember the data, 24% of the students had blue eyes, and 48% had brown eyes, and 16% had green eyes, and 12% had gray eyes. So what we did is we calculated that out to determine, well, what is 24% of 360-degree circle? And we determined that that is an angle of 86 degrees. And so now what we want to do is we want to create this circle graph to represent this data as a visual representation. So what we've got here is we've got our circle, and we've got our protractor here to help us gauge the different angles. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to shrink this up to just a typical protractor so we can get our first angle in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw in a little indicator right here, because we're going to be connecting some lines here. So that's our 0 point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag this this up to get us to 86 degrees. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag it up to 86 degrees, 85, 86. All right, so I'm now on 86 degrees. So I'm just going to put a little mark in here. I'm just going to move this over and try something different here because I'm a little bit short on space. So I'm just going to give this, it's 86 right here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove this, and I'm going to draw in a couple of lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to move it out of the way here just for a second so that we can actually connect some lines here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to start it right here at my center point, and I'm going to create a line, a straight line that goes out to where our base was, which is right about well, that's close enough. Okay, right about there. All right, now what I got to do is I'm going to have to draw my second line, and I'm going to have to start it at the exact same point, and I'm going to have to draw it straight up to connect here. And now what I can say is that this here, this angle right here, is an 86-degree angle. So we measured it with our protractor. And we know that that 86-degree angle represents 24% of the circle. And what that means is that this 24% of this circle is for students that have blue eyes. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next section, which is a little bit trickier, because now what we have to do is we actually have to rotate our protractor, or we can simply just add in the remaining angles if we have if we want to use the whole circle. But in this case, most of us are usually going to have a protractor that looks like this. So we're going to take this, we're going to put it back to where it was, and now what we're going to do is we actually have to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it so it's perfectly in line with this angle right here. So now what I've got is I'm just going to take this angle again, and move it back to 0, and we're going to calculate up to 173. So we're going to take it, we're going to go up, count, 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 all the way over to 171, 2, 3. All right, so we can see that that's a 173-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. I'm just going to click off here, and I'm going to mark it so that we know where it is. And I'm going to do this in a different color. So 173, right there. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, move my protractor out of the way. I'm going to take my lines. I'm going to take my connection here, and I'm going to connect it right to that section. And what I can say now is that this section here has an angle of 173 degrees, and that represents 48% of the circle, and 48% of the students have brown eyes. And as you can see, this is 48%. That's very close to 50%, and we're almost at half the circle there, but not quite. So this is a fairly accurate measurement. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this again. We're going to line it up. All right, we're going to put it into our circle again. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it again. And this time we're going to get it in line right here. And we're going to just have to shift it back just a little bit so that we're accurate. Okay, now what we've got it in line, so now almost. Okay, good. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to, there we go. Now we have to start over again. We got to measure again. So we're going to take our angle indicator here. We're going to measure out here. Where's our other angle indicator? Anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to start and we're going to actually calculate it out. So we're just going to count it out. If we're counting, we're going to count 58 degrees. So it'll be 10, 20, 30, 40, almost 60. So minus 2 will be right about here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move this out of the way. And we're just going to connect that line. So we start right here. Connect it, and now what we can say is that this line right here is a 58-degree angle, and that represents a total of see if I can move this out of the way so you can see it. It represents a total of 16 degrees, or 16% of the circle. And that means that 16% of the students actually have green eyes. Now, because we have only got 4 sets of data here, we can say that that there's only one chunk left in the whole circle. And since we know that all of these degrees have to add up to 360, and we've already calculated in the first 3 angles, we know that whatever is left over has to be the remaining angle. And in this case, the remaining angle that connects this circle is going to be 43 degrees. And if this is a 43-degree angle, that means it takes up a total of 12% of the entire circle, and that is our representation of students with gray eyes. Go back and check this out again and compare this with our first lesson to see exactly how you got to the data and then how you actually accurately draw in the angles to give a visual representation of a set of data.